Boxing King Media, powered by BYD. Delighted to be joined by Mr. Legendary Trainer Virgil Hunter here in London, Wembley. Virgil, first of all, how are you? How's your health, and just how's life in general?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling good, enjoying life. Glad to be back in the UK for such an event. The magnitude of this, it's going to be a great event. I experienced Wembley before when Fraud Grove, so I understand the excitement that tomorrow night's going to bring.
I forgot that you was at that event. Was you working, or was it? I can't remember.
A fighter named Brandon Gonzalez that fought James DeGale.
So you've experienced a big crowd. I think it was 80,000 that day, but this time it's going to be 96,000.
However many he drew.
Yeah.
You know, he brags about it to this day, but
He does. He still does.
but it's okay. He has a right to do it. I think he has the record right now. Has it been beaten?
Yes, no, Tyson Fury beat it. Tyson Fury, Dillian White was, I think, 91,000 or 90,000.
Okay, well, still in the same ballpark. Anything over 50 is to be admired.
Can you ever see anything like this happening in the US, where you'd get this sort of crowd? Because 90,000 people is madness even thinking about it. Like, who draws them kind of numbers?
Well, the U.S. is so diversified in different sports and things like that. Boxing is not the product. In England, the boxing is huge. It's like the number one sport, I can say. But in the U.S., boxing is not up on that rung to where you're going to draw crowds like that. It depends on who fights. I know Errol Spence has done 40,000 in Dallas, which is pretty big. I believe if they take Gervonta Davis to a stadium that he could put in 30, maybe 35, and that's big in the U.S. So I see right now that Canelo did 650 buys, which is, I think, the biggest pay-per-view buys this year, if I'm not mistaken. So
Where do you think that atmosphere of like the US audience turning out in big numbers went? Because obviously, because you're the old school, you'll know from being a boxing historian, people like, we're going back to Jack Johnson days and the old school heavyweights. Everyone just used to rock up. There was like 18, 90, 100,000 used to turn up. I couldn't quote some of the fights, but I know they had six-figure crowds just watching the fights.
well, the team sports have taken over the demand for people to see the sport. So boxing is, again, it's just one of many sports in America. We have so many. So, but we're happy as long as we have champions and things like that, and still dominating the divisions and champion fighters. We'll be okay.
You know, from your experience, you've seen boxing in so many different decades. What's your biggest worry about boxing in 2024? What do you think we may be losing, or is any concerns you've got, and also the pluses of boxing nowadays?
Well, boxing is going in a lot of directions with the YouTube stars and things like that, and I think that they should be commended. You take a guy like Jake Paul; he's putting real fighters on his cards and giving them opportunity to make money, and that's what it is. It's prize fighting and then pride fighting. So it's about making money, and I commend anybody who allows boxers with names who work real hard to get to where they are, to get the money that they deserve. So I don't have any complaints about, a lot of people complain about Riyadh and things like that, but I think it's a great thing. It's brought everybody together. Of course, money is the main topic, and money quiets all things, right? So I think it's a great opportunity for boxers and to be on those cards. I think that the attitude is that even if you come up short in a fight, as long as you put on a performance, that you'll be welcome back. It's just another opportunity for fighters, and that's what they need. They need a lot of opportunities to fight continuously. I know DAZN puts on a lot of shows every week, giving back people opportunities. So the opportunity is there if the fighters stick to their diligence and improve and elevate themselves to that status.
I want to know, you will have seen Willie Hutchinson's previous performance against Craig Richards, who also fought Joshua BUATSI. Had you seen Willie prior to that, and did you rate him as a fighter?
I definitely rate him. I mean, it was a good performance. He showed skill. He showed IQ. It was definitely a good performance, and I commend him for it.
Can we, obviously, again, this is drawing on your experience. We see so many fighters. Let's say, for example, on paper, Josh may have had a harder fight. If you look at the scorecards with Craig, Willies was wider. Because there's a lot of fans look at these sort of comparisons and they don't understand styles make fights and all that kind of stuff. So how would you as a coach explain to somebody who doesn't understand, well, he beat him easy or he bought him harder, so does that make him the favourite? How would you explain that?
Well, styles do make fights. It definitely wasn't the Richardson that we fought, and we got our own thoughts about that, which Richardson showed up with us and which Richardson showed up with him, and I'll leave it at that. But styles do make fights, and it definitely won't be a fight like that, however which way it goes.
Should be an exciting fight either way. And then I'm going to talk to you about the main event. Obviously, I know AJ's been in San Francisco. You've done a bit of work with him, so you know him on a bit of a level. So the two big opinions on AJ are, one is people are saying he's improved on Ben Davison, he's showing punch power, he's more aggressive. And then you got the negative people who are saying, well, he's not fought anyone that's put it on him. Everyone that he's fought is not a big puncher. Ngannou couldn't fight. Wiley wasn't that good. Jermaine Franklin's never beat anyone. These are all the kind of things that you can't ever win. So I'm just curious to know, how do you kind of assess his kind of resurgence under Ben Davison?
Well, I'm kind of straight ahead with it because what's going to happen is going to happen. It's not that complicated. It's whoever lands on who and whoever can take the other person's punch. It pretty much boils down to that with heavyweight boxing. I mean, there's strategy involved, of course. When I look at AJ now, he seems to be more relaxed. He seems to uses athleticism a little better. You can see his brain working, his IQ working. He's picking his shots. So he's definitely been a student of the game, overcoming his adversities and right here at the cusp of putting himself in the history book. So you have to commend him for that. Daniel Dubois overcoming his shortcomings, overcoming his disasters and the untimely things that happened to him. He's redeemed himself with 2 big wins, so you can't count him out. He doesn't seem to be afraid. He seems to be very confident. So it's pretty academic. Whoever lands on who in the right spot, in the right place, that's who's going to win. It's not rocket science.
One thing I want to ask you about, which is quite an interesting point in this, is you will have seen over the years people say that you can train a fighter to be better at certain things, but you can't train heart, you can't train chin. But Daniel Dubois' results show, and again, people are saying, oh, he's a quitter. They were questioning his heart from his previous defeats, and now people are saying he's a different man, and he's shown heart and he's shown resilience. So how does have you ever seen a fighter kind of, I don't know, how shall I say it, kind of improve their resilience and heart and things like that, or maybe did he always have it, and maybe people were just wrong?
Well, I never question a fighter's heart, it's particularly when he has an eye injury that could end his career. I mean, you can live to fight another day. So I don't really knock Dubois for taking that knee against Joyce. Usyk hit him with a slashing left hand, right hand on the same eye, and I think that's what caused him to go down. I don't think it was a concussive punch because he got right back up at the count. So right away, just like anything else, if he gets hit in the eye, it's going to come back. And when he gets hit in the eye, it's going to come back. So we have to see that test come. He didn't get hit in the eye. In the Usyk fight, he was hit in the eye, the same eye. So that puts something on the fighter's mind. You know, I can't go out with an eye injury, a permanent eye injury, because when you get eye injuries in boxing, it's pretty much a wrap. And in AJ's case, I think his vulnerable area is the temple area. If you notice that big, tall heavyweights in boxing, when they get hit in the temple, they go down because it takes a while for that to register to their legs, right? To where they can get the force from the ground to stand up to the punch. It collapses them in the brain, the collapse in the legs just collapse because it never registered in the legs. Lennox Lewis, temple shot. Klitschko, several times, temple shots, okay? It goes on and on and on. So if he's overcome that, which you got to protect yourself at all times. I'm not saying anybody that gets hit in the temple can take it, but it seems to have a particular effect on taller fighters. Ngannou hit Fury in the temple, right? Yeah. Usyk, I think when he wobbled him pretty bad, caught him in the temple. So that's a vulnerable spot for guys that tall. If you look at the 6'3" heavyweights and things like that, the 6'4", they seem to take a shot better. But again, I think it's just pretty straight and narrow with Dubois and Josh. Boxing wise, I would give an edge to Joshua because of his experience and things like that. Combination wise, I can see Dubois getting the edge. Power, everybody says Dubois has more power, but Joshua's got enough power. I mean, if 6 can put you out and you're a 10 and I'm a 9, I'm still on par with you. So that's equal across the board. I don't think one rates over the other. Again, it's going to be who lands and who can defend and who can land, and that's going to be the sum up of the fight.
It should be a fascinating night. And lastly, all I want to ask you is, Virgil, like, if you forget away from boxing, what does Virgil Hunter do to have some downtime? What's your home life, family life? What do you do to switch off from this boxing game?
Well, right now I'm a homebody, and I read a lot. I meditate.
What do you read?
I read a lot on the internet.
All right.
Yeah, that's my source of reading now. But I read the scriptures a lot, things like that. I enjoy my grandchildren. They're the joy of my life. And my wife and I have a great relationship with no more kids in the house and things like that. So
I'm curious. I love speaking to people of faith, and you said you read scriptures. Do you read scriptures to kind of learn more about the past, or learn about what do you get from reading them scriptures?
well, it's interesting. I'm starting to look at the Bible from a historical point of view and realize that it's a history book as opposed to what was initially taught to me. So the word says search the scriptures precept on precept. So I tend to do that. I might not read a whole chapter, but I might read a scripture in the New Testament that's directly related to what was said in the Old Testament. So that's pretty much how I go about it. I don't try to be overzealous about it, but I try to be consistent about it.
Yeah, it's interesting because like the modern, I don't know if your children or grandchildren are into faith, but we see this new age, more people are kind of away from that kind of world.
Well, the world is definitely going in a different direction. It's going in the direction that the Bible predicts. It's right there for you to see with the things that's going on over in the Middle East and over in Ukraine and Russia. All that's predicted, and those scriptures are right there readily available for the world to see if they take time to search. We definitely, and I feel like, in a stage in this world where things can go tragically for everybody. Everybody's got weapons that can just wipe out a nation, and sometimes you might get a lunatic in there willing to push the button. So it's a dangerous time, what's going on. A lot of it hurts me. I don't like to see anybody suffer, but I understand that this is part of what is written. So you have to accept it. You mourn, but you still have to accept it.
It's like you said, it is all out there and people are into all that. It's a fascinating read. Mr. Hunter, it's always a pleasure speaking to you for the second time, and I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did.